Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining me again on the B-Wing model build series. Sorry it took so long to get back into this series. Obviously, I had a lot of work to do previously with the Jupiter 2 commission model build I have just done. I way underestimated the amount of time and work it would take to do that build, but what a build that turned out to be, and I'm very happy with that. And also, over the course of the last few months, I also finally got my official website up and running. So you can check out the link in my notes below the video and check out all the models that I've done, past and present. And there's links to the build videos here on YouTube, as well as some just build blogs. But now that I've got my website up and running, now that I've got the Jupiter 2 commission build out of the way, it's time to get back into my own builds. So we're going to head on into the Bandai B-Wing model build. So I've got the main body parts here that I've painted with Tamiya Fine Gray Primer. And then I've got this lower wing with the whole gun section here. And these are the pieces that I need to assemble, that I'd like to assemble before painting. I've painted this section black and this area here with the Tamiya Fine Gray Primer. And start out with these two pieces here, and they have a couple little pieces that attach to the bottom like so. And then these attach into the main body in this little cutout area right here. So then we have these pieces that make up the big gun on the lower portion of the big wing, and I'm just gonna assemble this together really quickly. So here we have the big gun on the large wing section of the B-Wing. So I've now gone and I've painted all these with the Rust-Oleum Flat Gray Primer, same color I used for the guns on the other two wings. And these are the other guns from the other two wings, if you remember from my last video. And in this shot here, you can see there's some of the white color of the actual ship color. So I've taped off my guns and I'm going to paint those portions with the same Tamiya AS20 insignia white as the rest of the body color, so that it'll match the way the miniature looked in the film. Now I've got this large wing section here, and I've painted that with the Tamiya Fine Gray Primer. And I'm going to go through and paint some of the panels on the wing with a Tamiya Medium Gray. And then I've gone and I've done the same as well with the rest of the other wings and with the body portion. I've also gone through and done some other panels with the Tamiya Neutral Gray, so that there's two different shades of gray there. And then I'm going to go through and do some pre-shading with flat black around all the panel lines of the wings and body portion as well. And you can see I've gone that throughout the entire model here. And now I've gone and I've done a coat of the Tamiya AS20 insignia white over all of the pieces, and you can see the shading slightly on the panel lines, and the gray areas, the gray panels that I painted don't quite show up as much as I would like. You do see them there slightly. You can see a little bit of a shading difference there. So I'll probably add a little bit in post to add a little bit of difference in shading. But that's what we've got so far. So these two wings have this area here with the bluish gray area, and I've gone and taped off to paint those. And then these pieces down here also have that same color blue-gray, which I have right here that I have mixed myself. I mixed it using Tamiya Sky Gray XF19, and then I've used just a few drops of Tamiya Sky Blue X14. And before I begin to paint with the wing section here and all of these pieces, to do chipping effects, I'm going to add some Maskell from Humbrol so that I can create chipping effects. So I'm going to go around the wings first, and I'm just going to start dabbing on some of this Maskell to conceal areas where I want chipping to be. And I've gone through now and I've done some masking on all these parts so that when I've painted them, I can then rub off the Maskell and it'll reveal and look like paint chipping. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start to airbrush the parts with my mixture of Tamiya Sky Gray and the blue. And you can see how these have turned out here, and now it's just time to remove my masking tape. And you can see how that turned out on the wing section there. And then I just start rubbing away the Maskell, which leaves chipping effects in the paint itself. And you can see how easily that just rubs away. Here we have all the pieces now painted with the chipping effects. I wish it would have had a little more of a blue tint to it, but I'm still happy with how it looks. I'm going to leave my color the way I have it because I do like it. So anyway, here you have it with all the chipping effects. Now on a couple of the wings there is the orange circle here, and I'm going to do that with paint using this ruler with one of my circular cutouts. But what I'm going to do is I've put the ruler over some tape, and then I've carefully cut the center out of the tape with the ruler as a guide so that I can then take this piece of tape and just put it down over the model and use it as a mask so that I can then airbrush my orange circle into the wing. And again, I'm going to add a little bit of Maskell here first to have a little bit of chipping in the orange circle on my wing. And I'm using a Model Master orange paint that I found. I didn't have any other brands, but this will work just fine for doing this. And I've gone and I have airbrushed the circle on the wing here, as you can see, and I'll just pull my masking tape away. And then I've done that to the other wing and the body portion here. So these are all the areas, two of them being slightly different sizes, but you can see I also got it a little bit onto this section here where it needed to be because it does overlap onto there. So on this large wing section, there's this little portion here. You can see it's a separate piece, and on the back side of it we have these little parts here that attach, which are part of some mechanism for flying the ship. And then this portion goes together, and then it leaves the wing exposed, and I have this little panel that goes up at the top here. This is part of the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive edition of the kit, which is why it has this. And there's also this middle section here which I painted with my blue-gray and did chipping effects on, and that goes right in between this large wing section right here. So I've gone ahead and I've taped off some panels on all the wings because I talked about how I didn't have a variance as much as I would have liked. So I'm just gonna dust these just a little bit with a light gray just to give a little bit of shading difference in the panels. As you can see here, I used a medium gray and just very lightly airbrushed over it. Some areas a little heavier and then some areas a little lighter, just to give some variance in the panels. Get this little tape off here. So I've gone and I've done a coat of Tamiya clear coat over all these sections, because now I'm going to go through and start to do some weathering in the panel lines here. So I'm using a German gray, Vallejo German gray, and just some water, and I'm just making my own wash here, and I'm just going to start going throughout all the pieces and just painting over the panel lines to get the German gray into all these panel lines. Once I have that done, I'm just using a regular old Q-tip. Once it dries just a bit, I'm just going to start rubbing away, and it'll leave that gray inside those panel lines, highlighting the panel lines. And I usually use German gray for doing my panel line washes, just because it's not as dark as black, and I feel black just stands out too much. To me, the German gray just looks more natural. And you can see here the one half of the wing with the panel lines painted and this one without. You can see the difference it makes between the two wing sections. And now I've gone and I've painted all the wings, or washed all the wings rather, with the German gray, and done all the panel lines. And I did panel lines on those little pieces up top, the gun section that holds the gun. I've also done some wash in these little pieces here, just so they'll stand out as well. Now on these I'm going to use some Vallejo rust wash, and I'm going to go through in some of these little parts here and add a little bit of rust, since these are moving parts that make the wing move and such. So I just want to add some rust in here to make it look like it's, you know, been through something. And then I'm going to go through with some Tamiya gunmetal pastel, and I'm going to add a little bit of gunmetal pastel over these parts as well, just to make it look a little more metallic. Then I'm also going to use some of my Tamiya light sand pastel, and I'm just going to again go over some of the areas just to highlight them and bring out some of the highlights, and also make it look like it's a little bit dirty. Put this piece back in here, get them together. And there we have that section all detailed up. Moving on now, I'm going to start to continue weathering the wings. I'm using some Tamiya soot pastel, and I'm just going to start doing some streaks throughout the wings, you know, the direction that it would be heading. And I've gone and I've done soot and mud as well, just streaks throughout all the wings to make it look like it's been flying through, you know, not necessarily space, but, you know, even atmosphere, and it's left streaks as it's going forward through the forward motion. And then it's time to add some decals. I've applied some microset to the wing section here, and I've wet the decal and I'm putting it onto the wing with the microset solution there, and adding a little more microset solution to this area. I have another decal that I'm going to apply here, these little squares. Get another one over on this wing section. And here we have all the decals applied to the three wings. These little triangles, this little symbol, this little caution, some other just little markings throughout the wings. I've gone over all these parts now and applied a Tamiya flat clear coat, which is a flat coat so that it's not shiny anymore, because I had the clear coat before and it made everything nice and flat looking. I've also gone over the body section here with a gray wash and done some weathering with the guns as well. And then I've also applied some decals to these little pieces here. And there's also a decal that I've applied to the body section right up here. So these pieces are all now done and painted, and everything has been now flat coated and is completed and ready to move on to the next stage. So at this point, I'm calling this episode finished. That'll do it for now. Next time I'll get into doing the engines and lighting and getting close to final assembly of the entire kit. So thanks for watching this episode. Sorry it's been so long to get another one out, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. If you like watching my videos, please feel free to give them a like. And so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos, click subscribe.